around this region too. This brings INSARAG or search and rescue organizations up to a new challenge. We are going to be the first responders. We are going to mean or define the difference between life and death between the communities. Now this is the time to become more linked, more cooperative, more coordinated and more cohabited in the response. We would urge our teams to be more frequently engaged, not only once a year, but see online discussions, simulation exercises, and obviously reaching out to share our best practices which we have learned from our regions, which can be used by other communities as a customized template in their own regional response. We are very grateful for our all hosts in Lahore as well as in Islamabad to become part of this response too, and we'll be very happy to share a common clean paper at the end of this event to all member organizations and states. We'll be looking forward to our Jerevan headquarters to that how we can take forward this message from today's conference, and then let's see that how for the next year we'll be able to at least showcase a notch a better response, a better coordinated response from all perspectives. We have learned from Pakistan's example, which is very critical for our search and rescue organizations, not only to understand the culture of the area where they are going to become operative, but the language, the food choices, the people, the religious and ethnic sensitivities, and other practices which are very critical for enacting a supportive response in all search and rescue operations in the world. And the history, as the last 2 years, Pakistan has reached out, although we're suffering from our own floods of 2022, we have been very active in reaching out to people in Turkey and Syria, the last year's earthquake. We are also available to all our regional countries in our Pakistan's neighborhood to become part of this collective response. I would also like to inform the audience that now we have also reached out to another, I would say, sub-technical stage of Pakistan search and rescue. We are trying to reach out to indicate that and locate all those people who have been trained by our search and rescue responders, NGOs and other organizations, UN bodies in Pakistan for the last 10 to 5 years, so that we can also identify those people who have been once trained and now they are able to perform the roles of mentors or local guides or community helps in their respective areas, so that when the formal search and rescue goes in, it will have sufficient reserves in the areas beforehand, and they can also help in raising general awareness and updation of all the communities that which are going to require help. Now this search and rescue, we understand, is going to have its own regional perspective. We need to have mountain-specific search and rescue, which is different than the urban search and rescue. Obviously, there are communities which are looking forward for something beyond urban search and rescue organizations' capabilities too. So we are going to reach out to find out that what is the meaning of urban search and rescue in different climatic zones in Pakistan, and also be able to at least define specialities of these organizations in the regions too. We will be very glad to see innovative ideas from our participants today, and then at the end of it, we will be able to then sub-classify our search and rescue or urban search and rescue to different zones like high mountains, plains, river plains, deserts, and coastal areas of all the countries in the regions, not only Asia Pacific but beyond. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum. Lieutenant General Inam Haider Malik, thank you with your lead for hosting this wonderful and I think very fruitful event for what you just spoke about the plans ahead, and thank you for the leadership. Muhammad Yahya, the UNRC and the UN team here, Carlos and your team, thank you very much for supporting the Secretariat from Geneva. And to the INSARAG family here, asked by a few dear colleagues here that after 18 years in the INSARAG Secretariat, you look a bit tired but happy. So I replied to them, why not? because we just came back from a very challenging week in Lahore, where we had the IRC event, which Director you mentioned, and also you mentioned about the ERE. So many of us here are not really tired. We are all energized. Are we energized? And great thanks, of course, to the Punjab team, Dr. Rizwan, your A team, as we always say.
Energizing.
The memories linger, but more importantly, the training that we had coming together stays on. And all of you will have this brochure with you in your little goodie bag. I think what is important is if you look at the INSERAC page of this NEOC brochure, it says INSERAC is a driving force in the humanitarian community. I think this is exactly what we all stand for as a 33-year network, that we are coming together. We are joined together to enable a swift and efficient response. And we all abide by this one rule. So, colleagues, the world is in flux. The humanitarian community is overstretched and under attack. And we are not talking about COVID, but climate and complex emergencies. This is keeping us on our toes. And INSERAC, because some colleagues have asked, are we members of INSERAC? Do we need an IEC patch? And I think the Lieutenant General Imam has rightly mentioned that it must be capacities at all levels. At the community level, which is the most important, because they are the ones that are foremost and forefront in whenever a disaster strikes. Then we look at the national standards and capacities, then the international teams will come in, if needed, to support a strong national response. Now, INSERAC is an apolitical tool in this very confusing and challenging times. And we are not interested, or do we want to be involved in politics. And we are relevant as ever for sudden onsets when called upon. Because today, and that's one of our goals, is, and we'll discuss this together as an AP group, that when we look at countries in conflict, and when they have a disaster, and when sometimes bilateral response is challenging or not possible at all, what can we do as INSERAC? And all of us here as practitioners will know that preparedness is key in any of our response. And this preparedness we are talking about is, can we train the communities in these places? Can we train these communities in the high mountains, as Lieutenant General Iman has stressed? You know, all these areas is where the regional group in the AP, which is one of, we can say, the most disaster prone in the world, how can we come together, bringing together our collective synergies to train these people in these communities? And it's very heartening to note that in Asia there are bilateral teams supporting colleagues from the Palestinian civil defense, training them, because we know it's quite impossible to go in and operate in the same manner at this point of time, but we are bringing the key trainers to train them so that they can go back and impart the INSERAC methodology and skills to their own civil defense. And we are doing likewise with many other countries that are in conflict today, and we count on your support to also be part of this effort. Now, our incoming Under-Secretary General and Head of OCHA, Tim Fletcher, who will be joining us in a few weeks, and he rallied the call for us to, and I quote, "Together we must set a compelling vision for an even more agile, effective, local, and accountable
humanitarian architecture. And for INSARAG, and I stress again, we are talking about trained community first responders able to respond and save lives in the first instance of a sudden onset disaster. And I continue, he said, my hope is that we will be representatives of those we serve, coherent and strategic. I want to balance the urgent crisis work with the important and broad range of partnerships we rely on to deliver that, unquote. Now, dear colleagues and the INSARAG family, partnerships and networks like INSARAG, the UNDEX system, which member states, like all of you here, represent, the environmental emergencies. We have a course upcoming in Bangkok the following week, Haruka, and the WHO EMT that also copied our system and made it better. So the EMTs are now right at the forefront in many of these conflict areas, quality assurance standards, and they adopted the INSARAG methodology of right at the forefront in many of these conflict areas, quality assurance standards, and they adopted the INSARAG methodology of right at the forefront in many of these conflict areas, quality assurance standards. So local humanitarian actors, many of these must all work in harmony for the people who need our assistance. And local humanitarian actors, many of these actors must play out in harmony for the people that is really the impact we want to see. And we hope amongst here, as I speak to Haruka, next year, we have yet to find a host for the ERE. So please, correspond to your HQ and consult Dr. Rizwan what you think. It's not a walk in the park, I'm sure, but please, the copy break, seek his advice. Consult Dr. Rizwan what you think. It's not a walk in the park, I'm sure, but please, the copy break, seek his advice. The Lieutenant General Imam was in Geneva a couple of months ago. We hosted a very important meeting on the NEOC, and we look forward to visit there because that's a very, it's a model center which I think the rest of the world can learn from on preparedness, on monitoring alert systems, because we need to know in advance and warn the population to get people ready so that we minimize disasters. As I say this, we are getting alerts ever so frequent of storms that are coming our way. I spoke to our colleagues from Philippines. The storm just went by, now it's going into parts of Taiwan, China, and so on. So these storms will always be coming our way. It is now the new normal. And it is an accelerated by climate change. It is now the new normal. And it is an accelerated. Now, at this point, sincerely encourage countries with flood response capacities to sign up for the voluntary flood response roster. And Jeremy, where are you sitting? Jeremy is there. He's one of the co-chairs of the flood response working group. And INSARAG, after 32 years, is not just waiting for an earthquake to happen. We want to be relevant. We want to say, if there are storms, we are ready. We will apply the INSARAG methodology, or we make it voluntary. If you have boats, if you have trained, life-saving flood response experts like Singapore, responding in support of Australia for the floods, we want you to be putting your hands up and saying, put me in the roster. I've received many times calls from the UN fraternity, the RC, saying, we need help. And where is the UN fire station? It all comes down. INSARAG, since you can do earthquakes, I'm sure your professionals can do something about flood response, because when it comes down, at the end of the day, they're talking about rescuing lives. People who are trapped in a situation where we need complete the mission of saving lives. That's what we are all here to do, as Dr. Rizwan said in his many speeches. Now, colleagues, we want to seek your guidance as the policyholder points of the Asia-Pacific Regional Group on three key areas in your agenda. Number one is the governance review global position. Now, we decided, or the network decided through their INSRAP steering group, that there be a governance review as an opportunity to produce a tailored approach that fully supports leadership and key stakeholder priorities so that we can better serve the communities and people who need our help. Now, it's not just change for the sake of change. So we will do a series of breakouts later today. And at the end of the day, let's transform INSRAP to be fit for purpose and fit for the future. So we count on your support for that. And then there's the lessons from the AR of the Turkey and Syria response. Now, last year on the 6th of February, INSRAP mounted our largest response in our 30-year history. We have been to many earthquakes, including the Kashmir earthquake 19 years ago, and that kick-started a lot of developments in Pakistan, the Rescue 1122. And this earthquake of Turkey and Syria, the scale of this earthquake, the magnitude, the amount of teams that responded, the lessons that were brought forward, we are now saying, let's come together. What are these key lessons that we learned from a receiving country? Because within 2 hours, the government was able to say, we need international assistance. That's why the international community, over 87% of our classified teams responded and rescued 300 lives. So we count on you to look at how we can learn what are these key lessons as a receiving country, and then as a sending country. The INSRAP system is well and alive, and within the first day, because the response was so rapid, we were able to have the first teams and UNDEC deploy on the same day. Now in life saving, I don't have to preach to the converted. You know that we are against the clock. Every second counts. And on the first day, if you can arrive, you can make a difference. But if you say come after 3 days, 5 days, then we will say we'll come with, sad to say, body bags. So this is what we want to advocate to governments, that INSRAP is ready. You must be ready. And let's have this discussion later today, and also for the rest of the work plan, that the AP will be ready, your teams will be ready, and governments who need assistance will be ready to call for this assistance when required. And I just mentioned another note on Turkey, because I was part of the team that put this together. And what's key is that, and I think Belit from AKUT is here as well, and was one of the first NGOs to support the operations, and maybe he was just not his head. There were over 300,000 national volunteers, government-trained first responders. They had the INAP system in place, civil society, NGOs responding. And they know how to rescue. It's not just civilians digging with their bare hands. These are trained locals, and exactly what you mentioned, that we must have trained communities ready to respond. Colleagues, the third point was to mention as local as possible, and this is one area we would like to see how we can better train communities. We have the Community First Responders Program, and discussed this at length with the DG, and I think Pakistan can implement this. You already have a solid foundation. Put the INSRAP brand there. because we have a system, plug it in. This is, if you look at the triangle, the first responders, the communities are the foundation. And then we go to the national accreditation, then the IEC at the apex. And if you have a mandate to deploy internationally. So, colleagues, let's make this dream, as Dr. Rizwan will say, the dream is now happening. Make it a reality and a priority for the people who need our help. And as you recall the achievements of 2024, later in the coming sessions, the work plans that we're going to be discussing in the course of today, I'd like to also credit the team here, the OCHA office of Pakistan, Sebastian, who sends his best wishes and sent me, so I hope I will not disappoint. Haruka, Apasara, and the team who worked ever so hard, and let's have a good meeting together. Thank you very much.
Good morning, colleagues. I shouldn't have let Winston speak before me, I think. He has too much energy for some of us who haven't had enough coffee yet, which is a good thing, I suppose. Welcome, Your Excellencies. I want to first congratulate NDMA Chair. I'm glad that Pakistan now is the regional chair for INSARAG. Congratulations. Is a recognition of the work that Pakistan has done and where Pakistan is and its contribution to the region. So let's put our hands together again for the Pakistani team. Thank you very much. It's a privilege to be here representing the United Nations, and it's important that the regional meeting in INSARAG is happening today. Welcome. I hope you've enjoyed Lahore. I know the INSARAG team and NDMA made you work hard, but I hope you've had a chance to go out and spend all your cash. We want all the money that you brought staying in Pakistan. So if you haven't, Islamabad is the second option. There are a lot of places to go shopping. Please, we need all the foreign reserves you have in your pockets. So spend them here in Pakistan. The conference is particularly significant as it marks the first time Pakistan is hosting INSARAG Regional Conference. The milestone is a major achievement and highlights Pakistan's growing leadership in disaster response preparedness within the region. We understand that responding to natural and man-made disasters is complex and requires team effort and strong coordination. I've been learning a lot about what INSARAG has been doing globally and regionally through our OCHA team here, and I'm so happy that you're all here to share your experiences. Pakistan already has one certified INSARAG team demonstrating the country's dedication to meeting international standards. Looking ahead, Pakistan aims to add a second team and potentially more in the coming years, which will further enhance disaster response and capabilities. The Asia-Pacific Earthquake Exercise has provided an important platform for countries in the region to exchange best practices, improve coordination at the national and international levels. Again, I also want to follow Winston what you said in terms of flood responses. Thankfully, we haven't had a devastating earthquake since 2005, and it's good to prepare and be ready, but I think the flood happens quite frequently here, so any capacities around that is very much welcome. I would like to encourage NDMA, and the chair is here to consider conducting a nationwide simulation exercise on an annual basis to ensure that Pakistan remains prepared. And the UN and its partners are always ready to collaborate in saving lives should a disaster strike. The government of Pakistan, working closely with international and the national partners, has shown the importance of resilience, disaster preparedness, not only as a one-time task. It requires continuous commitment. Pakistan's proactive approach to organizing this and hosting this kind of events serves as an example to others in the region on prioritizing resilience. I think you're right. I'm told that the work in Lahore and the exercise went very well, and hopefully, I don't know if Pakistan is allowed to volunteer twice. I don't want to put them. There's so many other cities you can do, maybe Karachi next time. but I will leave that to DFHL. As we look forward to the future, let us build on these successful exercises by strengthening our partnership, enhancing our training, improving our preparedness. We can create a safer and more resilient future. Finally, I would like to express my sincere thanks to Interact members who are here, to OCHA for their ongoing support. I think it makes a difference. And I really want to specifically mention one Tutu who's here and the work they have done in supporting all this exercise. Welcome to Pakistan again. Enjoy Islamabad. You released them before 5, right? So they can go shopping. So it's a nice place. Thank you again. Welcome.
Thank you so much, esteemed speakers, for wonderful remarks, and we hope that for the next 2 days we engage in very meaningful dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a tremendous participation today from 17 countries. So we are going to do a roll call for participants. What we're going to do that, I will announce the country. You have to rise from your seats and then show your participation. So let's start this roll call. We'll start with Australia. Please rise from your seats. Thank you. China. Wonderful. Thank you. Indonesia. Thank you. Insaraj Secretariat. Thank you, Haruka. Japan. Malaysia. Nepal. Pakistan. Philippines. Russia. Samoa. Singapore. Thank you. South Korea. Thailand. Turkey. Last but not least, Tuvalu. Terrific participation today, wonderful. Thank you so much all the participants for joining the roll call. We are moving towards the next segment, the adaptation of agenda. For this, I would like to invite Haruka from Insaraj Secretariat. Haruka, please come over the stage. Okay.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the Insarag Secretariat, I would like to go through the latest agenda. I'm sure that you have seen the handout that was on the table, but there has been a few updates because all these organizing team, the host team, and our colleagues, they have been working until very last minute to work on the details. So I would like to go through the agenda, highlighting the major changes. So following the opening, there will be an update of global and regional activities. So we will go through global update, including ISG outcomes, working group progress update, as well as other regional group updates, followed by Asia Pacific regional update. And then after that, we will start governance review session 3. Winston highlighted in his speech, but this is very important session where we highlight the Asia-Pacific position. And all these outcomes will be compiled, and then the final decision will be made earlier next year at the New Year call. So this will be very important session. We will have speakers from ISARAC Secretariat, and as well as the NDMA, the Regional Chairmanship Group team. And also this will be followed by breakout sessions. And those breakout sessions and the discussion will be led by Mr. Aranto, who will guide you to different topics and breakout discussions. And this governance review consultation continues. Session 4 is the beginning of the breakout. We will divide the participants into 3 groups, and you will all rotate to different topics, and please present your position as a country representative to each topic. After lunch, we will continue with this breakout discussion, and after coffee break, we will come back to the plenary, presenting the final outcome of different breakout rooms and different topics, compose Asia-Pacific regional position, and at the end, we will have the next regional chair who will be presenting this regional outcome on behalf at early next year to provide short remark. And then after this, we will have the closing of this meeting and followed by official dinner. The detail of this official dinner will be announced at the ending, but the dinner will take place here, starting at 7 p.m. So this is another correction. And then following day 2, we will start with a recap of day 1 and a review of day 2 program. And then the first session will be session 8, which will be a reflection of Turkey earthquake after action review to Asia Pacific priority and work plans. We have done global after action review of Turkey response. And last year in New Zealand, we conducted regional after action review. So based on those after action review, this is the time to reflect all the lessons learned into the regional work plan. So we will have valid action points based on those after action review that we have conducted. So session 8, there will be a plenary session. We will invite a few speakers to speak about different topics. Localization is one of the main topics, as well as a partnership with UNDAC, because the Turkey response was also a big highlight of how important the linkages into interoperability between UNDAC and ISARAC. And this effort cannot be achieved by either side. It has to be a collaboration between ISARAC and UNDAC, so it will be discussed here. And after those Turkey plenary session, we will again break into different groups, session 9, to discuss the regional plan in accordance to the strategic objective from 1 to 4, in accordance with the ISARAC 5-year strategic plan. So reflecting all these lessons learned in the presentation that will be done in the session 8, please consider what is your position as a country to each topics. Quality standard, localization, there has been a lot of mentioning about community responders, and the UNOP is also a key part. And a lot of the times we have financial constraints. So this is where we will discuss what would be our focus as Asia Pacific region and what would be happening in the next 1 or 2 years. And this breakout discussion continues after coffee break, session 10. And after lunch, we will come back together at the plenary again to go through the summary of breakout discussion and also develop the Asia Pacific Regional Work Plan 2025. And also this will be an opportunity to review the current calendar of 2025. And if there are any other events that you are considering to host for the regional group, please provide your input here. And also, we will have time for member states announcement. We are currently looking for the regional chair for 2026, as well as APERE host for next year. So if you are considering to be one or both of them, please raise your hand during this session. And then finally, session 13 will be a closing. So we will go through the key outcome of this regional meeting, followed by closing remarks and exchange of tokens between INSARAG Secretariat and the host. So this will be the updated agenda of this regional meeting. Is there any comment or questions? Okay, so silence means endorse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Haruka. This is the admin info for the participants and the delegates here. So the first thing is the Wi-Fi password. If you want your devices to be connected to Wi-Fi, it's the username is Marriott and it's an open network. So you would it's an open network, sign into that and add your number. But be specific that some of you does not have a local number, so you all have an international number. So what you have to do, you can add your number, but please be sure that it will be of 17 digits. When you add the 17 digits, you're going to be connected to that network. So it's an open network. Second is the smoking area. Left to the exit door is the smoking area and the restrooms are right to the exit door. Emergency exit is from left side of the hall. Please look over the screen. If you have any questions, just please. That's it. Next, please. We are going to have a group photo. I will request our esteemed honorable guests and every participant to be seated on the screens. Our photographer will be here and he will take a group photo of everyone. Those who are standing are requested to be seated as well. I would like to request the photographer to be on the stage. Thank you, everyone. Now we are going to have a tea and coffee break. The meeting will resume sharp at 10:30. Our ushers are on the both doors. They will guide you towards it. Thank you.